Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm Beth Wheeler for Earth Safe Finishes. I'm here today. I'm going to try painting on this canvas pillow form. It has a zipper in the back, and I've masked off the edges because I don't want any paint to come around to the back. And I've used duct tape because I've tried every other kind of tape and it hasn't stopped the flow of the paint. But today we're going to use the duct tape. Hopefully, I do want the paint to go into the seam allowance divot there, but I don't want it to go around to the back. So the first thing I'm going to do is use Earth Safe Finishes gel medium, and you can see why they call it a gel. It's kind of like a soft pudding texture, and I'm going to wipe this on with a sponge brush. That's going to create a seal so my paints don't soak right into the fabric and turn dull, because I don't want that at all. Also, it's a very flexible medium, so it's going to prevent cracking if the pillow is flexed. One of the problems I've found working on fabrics is, well, it's not a problem, it's a challenge, that if you're using the fabric like for a purse, when it gets down below 20 degrees, it starts getting stiff and will crack. So that's why this gel medium is so awesome, because it prevents that. So we're going to brush a nice coat on, let it dry, and then we'll be ready to apply the paint. My gloves are sticking to the adhesive. Okay, there we go. So I'll be back when this is dry. See you soon. And we're back. The gel medium has dried on the canvas pillow cover, and we're ready to start putting the paint on. I want this to have kind of a beachy look, thinking that it might go in someone's beach house. So I have a dark blue, a light blue, a light teal, and white. And I'm going to do a swipe on this, I think. So I'm going to start by putting puddles of the paint down. And we don't need to cover the surface entirely, but I want the colors kind of randomly across the surface of the pillow. And then I'm going to flatten them out a little bit, and I'm using frosting spreader from the cake department because it has a nice bend in it, and it makes it easy for me to control where that paint goes. When this is finished, it will have the feel of almost like a leather. It's definitely not a cuddly thing, not a cuddly pillow, but it's very durable. And because we're using Earth Safe Finishes, it won't crack. The paint won't crack if it's flexed. So we're going to fill in some of this. Putting some puddles down, but then spreading them out so it isn't real thick. It's a little different than working on a canvas because you don't want your paint too thick, and it can get pretty thick on a canvas sometimes. I have silicone in all the colors except white. I did not put silicone in the white. Oops, somebody should have wiped off her spreader. There, that's better. Clean that up a little bit. One of the nice things about Earth Safe Finishes is the pigments are very high quality. So this will retain its color and vibrancy for years. If you use cheaper paint, that is usually cheaper because they've used a cheaper pigment in there, and it won't always stay nice. So when you use Earth Safe Finishes, you know you're getting the best. Just cleaning my knife off every once in a while. And I do want my paint to get into the trough from the seam allowance, but I don't want it to go to the back. Oops. Let's clean that off again. And we'll probably see some cells forming while we're pouring the paint out. I think it went a little more dark right in there. I'm going to be using a swipe technique on this, which is one of my favorite. Swipes always give beautiful cells. But I do need to make sure I have those edges covered. Okay. It's all right if there are a few gaps in there, but you don't want great big ones because that's asking a lot for it to fill that in. Okay, we're just about ready to swipe. And that should do it. Okay, I'm going to use the wet paper towel technique, and that because I really am able to get a nice pressure on the canvas or in the surface without scraping the paint. So I'm really a fan of the wet paper towel method. Okay, so I have a paper towel, standard paper towel, and it's not quite long enough to go over the entire surface. This is a 16 by 16 inch pillow form. And I'm getting it wet with bottled water. And I'm using bottled water rather than tap water because you never know what's in the tap water. There could be chemicals in there. There could be all kinds of impurities that could play havoc with the paints. I wouldn't want it to suddenly start growing bacteria because of the water. So I have white across the bottom. And I'm going to let the paper towel establish contact, and then I'm going to draw it. There's no drag on it at all. It's just floating, gliding across the top of the paint. And I'm going to turn it over. Now I'm going to get a new one. That was way too messy. I'm going to get a new one. Get this one wet with the bottled water. And do the same thing. I'm going to establish the contact and then drag it along. And you can see the cells developing during the swipe, and I haven't even torched it yet. Now I'm going to be a little careful with the torch. When you use torch, the flame is going to just barely come in contact with the paint because I don't want it to get down to the fabric. Okay, those cells are really popping up. I'm getting some nice lacing in there. And the cells are of various sizes, which I really like. They're not all the same size. Okay, that's it. Now we're going to let that dry for a couple of days and we'll be back. And we're back. The pillow has dried. The paint is completely dry. There's just some shiny spots on it, which reminds me that we need to clean the silicone off of the pillow before we try to do anything else to it. So I'm using a paper towel moistened with 91% rubbing alcohol, and I am gently rubbing over the surface of the paint. And as you can see, there is no paint runoff, which is really good. I was hoping there wouldn't be any. And we need to get all of the silicone off, because if we don't, the varnish will pit. The silicone will actually repel the varnish, and there will be little pits in the surface, and that's not what we want at all. So, okay. There we go. And I'm ready with my gel medium. This is the Earth Safe Finishes gel medium, and I'm going to brush this on. The gel medium dries clear, but it's very flexible, so it's really good for on this pillow, because I don't want any cracking and I don't want wearing, especially at the edges. So I am going to concentrate putting the gel medium along the edges. Make sure I get good coverage there. Just like the other EcoPore products, the gel medium has no VOCs in it, so it's safe for households with pets, small children, and anyone with chemical sensitivities. Now, when this dries, I will take the tape off and then put the pillow form in it, and that's when we'll actually see some magical stuff going on. Okay, I have good coverage. I will let this dry, and then I'll apply another coat, brushing crosswise instead of vertically. So the next time you see this, there will be a pillow form in it. Pretty exciting stuff. So here we are with the pillow cover. It's been varnished and dried. I took the tape off, and it did pretty well. There's still little places along the edge, and I have to figure out how to prevent that. But for right now, we're going to put this pillow form in here and see how it looks. It's an awfully tiny zipper. Or an awfully pudgy pillow form. I clearly should have done this off of camera, shouldn't I? Oh, okay, there we go. Hey, not bad. That's really pretty. Next time I might try using a satin finish instead of a glossy finish as the sealer. Okay, what do you think? Please click like and subscribe button, and let me know if you have any questions. Happy painting!